Hello, magical creatures, and welcome back to Around the Cauldron. I'm your host, Zechariah the Witch, and I am recording this on the day of one of our holy days, which is on the Witch's Wheel of the Year, known as Lammas or Lughnasad. Mostly because I've been taking a break from recording, or honestly, I've been going to a lot of auditions and working on a lot of other stuff, and I haven't been too sherry about it online, just kind of keeping it to myself. I think it's part of, the practice of being silent and working on your own innate magic for you. And so that's what I've been doing. But to celebrate and honor this day, which comes every year and marks the first time of the harvest beginning, let's talk about it. So, what is this pagan holiday? Why is it here? What does it represent? From what I know, it represents the marking of the harvest season beginning. A lot of it comes from honoring the deities of light, creation, and of course, gardening or harvesting. Most of us in modern witchcraft, pagan practitioners, heathens, they have different ways of acknowledging or celebrating this day. Not all of us are going to do something special or unique or purposeful on this day, but we tend to start to notice that this is when the shift begins, that harvest time turns into a time of when the spirits are getting closer. We might also engage in rituals where we adorn our altars with symbolism that is part of the harvest. Like a lot of people use corn or grains, wheat, some of the first fruits from this time of the year. I know for me, personally, I really love a lot of pit fruits this time of the year, like peaches and nectarines and plums, because they tend to be more ripe and full of flavor. But also, too, don't forget, grains and wheat are a part of bread and loaves and pastries. We use these as tokens of gratitude to the gods and the goddesses for their blessings. Because harvest is supposed to represent a bounty. It's supposed to represent what we have drawn in from our hard work throughout the other seasons. Some other ways that we acknowledge this time of the year, of course, is to share a meal, to have a feast, to invite in friends. Just the other day, we, in our house, I should say we, here in my household, if I can talk today, we had an excess of vegetables and some other things that needed to be used because we were going to go shopping for more groceries. So the idea was, what's something that we can make with all of this that we could also share with others? And we decided to grill and make some roasted vegetables and have a game night and have conversation and socialize. Of course, this wasn't intentionally put together because of the holy day, but it was very fitting. And knowing what I know about Lammas and this time of the year, the abundance that we have should be shared with others. We should foster community bonds with others. We should build each other up. We should check in, maybe even have outdoor activities, go on a nature walk, connect with other people in nature. That being said, there are some other practices within the craft that are acknowledged, things that, again, I've learned, but I don't necessarily do myself. Some people make corn dollies that they craft, and they represent the grain goddess or a bountiful harvest. Additionally, Lammas is just a time of heightened spiritual energy, which inspires most of us to utilize divination, spell work. Most of those spells will be used for things like personal growth, prosperity, abundance. Once I was like, oh shit, yeah, today is Lammas, I need to do something, because that's where I am in my practice, forgetting stuff. I actually pulled out a card that I have from a recent client job that I had, and it's the Wheel of Fortune. So I put the Wheel of Fortune on my altar as a subconscious reminder that every time I look at it, that opportunity comes around every year, that there's a cyclical shift of energy going where it needs to. Some other things to know about this is that, with every part of witchcraft, I do believe that we are stewards of the earth. Human beings in general are stewards of the earth. It's our job to be caretakers of this planet and all the flora and fauna that exist. And one of the things within my own practice that I've tried to maintain for each of these days is giving gratitude to the earth for all of the gifts that she's given, for the life and sustaining ability that she has to provide. We got an excess amount of rain and this last year, and it was kind of crazy. It was on record the highest amount of rain that we've had here in California for a long time, according to meteorologists and statisticians and stuff. But I look around now at this time of the year when it's usually so hot and dusty and dry and everybody's complaining and it's gross. And yes, it's still pretty hot. At the same time, it's way more green. I hear more birds. I see more life. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to see that she provides and she prevails. I also think that during this sacred day, by celebrating our own personal harvest, our harvest within our communities, the success of those around us, we should also seek blessings for the future. At this time, I think of speaking to the ideas of an overflow of abundance, that we all have what we need, that we are all sustained, that we are all provided for, that we aren't left wanting or needing, that we all have a roof over our head, that we all have purpose, that we all feel fulfilled. This time of the year too reminds me of other holidays that have been spewed out, especially within the Americas, from other ideologies or beliefs, or from other immigrants or people coming here during colonization time. And one of them being, of course, Thanksgiving, which we should call Indigenous Peoples Day. But that idea of harvest that has existed, I think of the negatives to that as well. We harvest and we cultivate and we grow a lot of bad seeds within our own practices, within our own habits. And I think since this is about the gods of light, the god of illumination to me is consciousness, awareness. I think it's ideal at this time to also say that, again, it goes back to accountability for yourself, awareness of the practices that you follow, remembering that even though you can express gratitude and be grateful, that there are still others who might not be at the same station in life as you, and they have their own individual reasons and circumstances. And I think the point of how all of the parts of the wheel connect, and how all of the days of the year, whether you're doing your year in a day or you're following the year of the wheel for Wicca or witchcraft or paganism, it is essential to remember that from all the paths in life, whether crooked or not, we all have our own understanding of what's right in front of us. And sometimes that's all that we have. And reflecting on such a day as this, which to me typically isn't one of the bigger days of the year for me. I don't go out of my way to do anything for it because I never have. I acknowledge that it's here. I sometimes think that maybe that means I sit in a place of privilege. I'm lucky to have what I have, to be under a roof, to have my own car, to have access to others and social networks and life. And so I want to offer my own token of gratitude to the gods and to those listening, and say that I'm grateful that you pick up and you do what you need to do to get by, and that you hold on to your humanity, and that you listen and you try to come from compassion and peace and grace, because sometimes that's all we can do. So I hope that this time of the year is a harvest of unity, and peace and protection, and that we all are given the grace that we need to have an abundance of joy and laughter and lifelong memories of great things, really, really great things. But that being said, that's all I've got to say about this day of the year. I mean, there's a few other things I could note, like the older practices talk about maybe making a pilgrimage to a sacred site, again, offering fruit or things that you've harvested. There are games that are associated with this time of the year, and that's part of the community building exercises. If you're a part of a coven, I'm sure that you have your own way of going about doing these things, but for someone like me who tends to be in the solitary practice longer than usual, these are just ways of self-reflection and times of looking inward and looking around me and what I've cultivated in my own life. And so I hope that this was informative and helpful. And that's about it for this day. So blessings to you. May the spirits guide you, protect you, and keep you. And please remember, I am available on my website. All the links are in the description wherever you're listening to this, ZachariahTheWitch.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I tend to post seriously not so serious things half the time, to see the lighter side of what I'm working on or just goofing off about. But if you'd like to work with me and get a reading, please feel free to reach out via the contact form, or however you see fit. Have a great day and be well.